Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः मन एव मनुष्याणां कारणं बन्धमोक्षयोः बन्धाय विषयासक्तं मुक्तं निर्विषयं स्मृतम्. Even if a person is a Medhavi, verse number 18. Medhavi, Medha asya yasyasti iti Medhavi. One who has Medha. Retention power. Power to recall. Not only recall, but also able to maintain the stream of thought about what one has learned. Even such a person, Jnana Vijnana Tatparaha, Jnanam cha Vijnanam cha, that knowledge and experience of that knowledge alone is important, not just to study. Vijnanam, Jnanasya Anubhavam. So, Jnananubhavam, that one who has all that, having studied the scriptures, able to recall the correct knowledge, able to understand the importance of the realization of the truth also, what he should do? Tyajet grantam asheshataha. Book is to be given up. It should not be used as a crutch. Then you can never walk. If you are having some physical, you have fallen down, and the doctor says use this, what do you call that, walking stick or walker for a while until your muscle strength, the leg muscles are a little more strong, until then you use. After that, what you should do? It's nice looking. Let me keep it with me. You should give up once you know how to walk. Or like a building, when they do the facade, what you call that? The scaffolds, not the scaffold they put just for painting or making sure the construction is done complete. After that, what do? Even though it is very useful for you to build the house, but you cannot keep it as a part of the house. Then this thing has to be, scaffold has to be removed. The child using the guiding wheels, right, during the learning about the car, about learning to bicycle. After that, that guiding wheels have to be removed so that that fellow will have balance. Why a two-wheeler cannot stand on its own? You know that? It's too tired. And that's this poor joke, you better laugh. So, a person who knows how to walk doesn't need any support. A built house doesn't need any more the scaffolding. So also a person who has studied and understood the content, Tyajet Grantham Asheshatah, completely. Like what? Dhanyarti Tyajet Phalalam. Like the husk need not be used while cooking, because the rice has been removed from the husk. The rice is what you use it for cooking. You don't need the husk. So therefore, here, as Vivek Chodamani also said, Avijñāde pare tattve shastrādidistu nishpala vijñādepi pare tattve shastrādidistu nishpala. Avijñāde parad. When we do not know, or when we do not want to know, scriptures are useless. When we know it fully, it's of no more use. So even then, a teacher may use the scripture for the sake of teaching, and one should not become merely a scholar. So continuing in the next verse, verse number 19. Gavamaneka varnanam Kshirasyapyeka varnata Kshiravat pashyate jnanam Linginastu gavam yatha Gavamaneka varnanam Kshirasyapyeka varnata Kshiravat pashyate jnanam Linginastu gavam yatha. Aneka varnanam gavam, Aneka varnanam, of various colors of cows. Sometimes some are brown, some are black, some are gray, some are off-white, dark brown. Even though there are many colors of cows, but milk, can you get me some brown milk from the brown cow, please? Milk, kshirasya api eka varnata. Only one color of the milk. In the same way, many different scriptures are there. Linginaha. Lingina means various. Linga means literally meaning is a symbol. Linga is symbol. But here to be used as shakaha, branch. Varieties of branch, varieties of scriptures that are available in the Vedanta, if you literature, if you take, or any other. But ekam sat, one is the truth. If that is understood, see, Ramana Maharshi was asked this question. How many Upanishads should we read to understand the supreme truth? He said, how many mirrors you have to see to know your face? We have 20 mirrors. You'll give 20 different faces. Only one face it will show. Similarly, to know the I, you don't need to use so many of them. If you have taken up one Upanishad and understood their content and able to withdraw your mind from all other things and focus upon your own self, to abide in the self, that's all sufficient. But we have intellectual quest, constantly inquiring this and that. We are interested about how the world came into existence. Arey bhai, kiske liye? What is the purpose of that? But when our mind cannot, our intellect cannot sit in one place, it is nature is why not, what, how. See, when you were only 1 year or 2 year old, did you ask your mother, what is the menu for the day? Food. Did you? Whatever she gave, you took. Why? Shraddha. You trusted the mother. Because she gives what I needed for me. But as you grow up, cereals, varieties of, I don't want that. I want this. You started to make choices. Why? Buddhi has started. Ahankara started. I want, I don't want, I like this, I don't like this. So you no more trust that what mother gives alone is sufficient. No. And mother also, what do you want? You better feed him what is necessary for that fellow. That's it. We didn't have, when I was growing up, there was no choice. You eat or don't eat. Two choices you have got. What is the choice for the today's dinner? Eat or not to eat. That are the only two choices. So when a guru gives this instruction, do this. Nisargadatta Maharaj did not study anything. His teacher only said, know that you are the self. I am that. That's all you need to do. He never touched even anything. Mahatma he became. Oh, Guru Akya. Do this. That's all you need to do. So here, even though there are many scriptures that are there, Gavam aneka varnanam Shirasya api eka varnata. Shiravat pashyate jnanam jnanina. Pashyate jnanin. Jnani pashyate. That's why it should be understood. Jnanam, otherwise it's become drishyate. It will become passive. It is pashyate. Shiravat pashyate. Like the milk one sees. What? Jnanam. Linginaha tu shakaha tu gavamyata. Like the various varieties of scriptures are like varieties of cows, but the content is only one. That's why he said, ekam sat vipraha bahuta vadanti. Every scholar will look at it and interpret it differently. Every Mahatma will come in different ways. So one will say, this is important, and then go in this way. Another would say something else. If you look at Christ, you would say, do not worry about any other thing. Just follow what I say. Just love all. Serve everybody. Sacrifice for others. Buddha would say, withdraw. Go down. Find out Buddhahood in you. Sarvam shanikam shanikam dukkham dukkham. What does it mean? So one would say, go and serve everybody with love. Another would say, just withdraw from everyone. Ultimately, both of them are going to lead to the same point only. The point of oneness, what is indicated by all scriptures, methods are different, teachings are apparently contradictory, apparently different, not contradictory. So, jnanam shiravat pashyate. Knowledge is like milk. Whichever be the source, it will be the same. Like all the rivers get into the same ocean. Once it reaches the ocean, where is a question of distinguishing one from another? You cannot say this is from Ganga, that's from Yamuna, that is from Godavari, this is from Kaveri. No. Single stream, single H2O only everywhere. So what we should understand is, when we have become thorough in one particular line of thinking, or one Upanishad, when you become familiar, now you should be able to look at how the same idea is put in a different way in this one. Do not lose the main point. Very often we lose the context and when we get carried away. how Krishna puts the same idea in Gita in so many different ways, according to the person who is in front of him. It's in front of him is not a Vairagya Purusha, one who is not a sannyasin, he is a Kshatriya. How he makes sure that even that one who is afraid of going to the battle, afraid of taking his responsibility, will be able to reach that same point. How he makes sure that he knows, he understands this, not without leaving his duties. Whereas a completely renounced student who may be sitting there in the isolation only with the Guru, to him the teaching will be different. But the content and main knowledge will not be different. It will be the same. So that's why here he says, Tat Satyam Sa Atma Tattvamasi Shveta Keto. That's the Chandogya Upanishad. That's the main Tattvam Asi. That's the main point here. Anywhere and everywhere, in different ways you put it, there are Mahavakyas 4 in number, but they are all pointing out to the same. Prajnanam Brahma, Ayam Atma Brahma, Tattvamasi Aham Brahmasmi. The main knowledge is Aham Brahmasmi. The teacher says Tattvamasi. The student understands Ayam Atma Brahma. And what is that Brahman? Prajnanam Brahma. So even though different ways it is put, but understanding should be clear. If that understanding is not clear, how many ever books you read, it will be still vague only. So one should go to that very core, very essence, essential teaching. If you can't understand essence, it doesn't make a sense. If essence is not taken up, and you go on reading and reading and reading. Like Guruji used to say, he gave a 1 week of lecture on Ramayana. One person came and asked, I have only one question. Yes. He said, in this story, who is the Rakshasa, Ravana or Rama? He said, neither Rama or Ravana, it is me. Because after he listening from me 1 week, if you have that question, one who taught was a Rakshasa only. Fundamental thing you don't understand. So one should not. In one of the Upanishads, they say, no, at the end, they say, Upanishadam Bruhi Bo. Oh, Upanishadam Bruhi. I told you all that. What I have told you is Upanishad. Then it will become like a pulling the carpet finally, after all that is done. Now it's another 2 verses which are there. First we'll see 20th, number 20. How this knowledge can be derived out of the books or the Upanishad teachings, how carefully it should be done. There are 2 different examples are given. Verse number 20 we read here. It's a different meter a little bit. Gritamiva payasi nigudam bhute bhute vasati vijnanam satatam mantayitavyam manasa mantana bhutena Gritamiva payasi nigudam bhute bhute vasati vijnanam satatam mantayitavyam manasa mantana bhutena. I took this particular tune because when you do then they churn the milk to get the yogurt, to get the butter, you know. They do the singing, na na ne na ne na ne na na na, just to make it as a social event. And then all the women put together and then they start doing that. You might have seen, So that's a nice music. But that content is the same only. The teaching is what? Nigudam, payasi nigudam gritam. Payasi in the milk, nigudam hidden is gritam, the ghee. Butter, basically, to start with, then it becomes ghee. So butter is hidden in the yogurt or in the milk. Satatam mantayitavyam. How do you get the butter out? You go on, do manthanam. Go on churning. In the same way, Vijnanam bhute bhute vasati. This self is present in everybody. Nobody is deprived. Bhute bhute vasati Vijnanam gritam iva payasi. Like the butter hidden in the milk, so is the supreme reality, the self hidden in everyone. Like you do the churning of the milk for the sake of getting the butter, in the same way, manasa manthana bhutena. The mind has to be churning constantly. That is what is called mananam. Mananam is nothing but mathanam. Matan karna. Then churning here should be done with an understanding of taking the essence out of it. Matanam. Manthana bhutena. Matanam karna chahiye, like mantayitavyam. So, mantayitavyam manasa manthana bhutena. As the mind as the churning rod. Mind as the churning rod. We have one of them. Last name Mantha. Mantha means what? One who does the manana. Mantha. So manthana bhutena manasa mantayitavyam. With the mind as the churning rod, continuously satatam mantayitavyam. So when you study something, I always tell my students, close the book. Now think about what you understood. You might have read some 20 pages, but you tell me in this 20 pages, whatever you have understood, write down. Not even 4 sentences will come out of it. Why? Because our mind is constantly looking for important points. If you train your mind that way, and don't leave out unnecessary things like that. Palalameva dhanyarthi. Unnecessary things you leave it. Take only what is essential. Gurudev always said, listen to everyone. Take what you want. That's all. You don't need to listen to everybody, whatever they say. Listen to everyone, reject none, take what you want. You go to a shop, many things are there. What do you will? You'll buy everything. What you want, you take and come out. Though you would like to have the entire shop within at your home also, but you take what you want. Some people, when they used to attend Gurudev's lecture, at the end of a whole week of lecture, you ask them, what did you learn out of this whole 7 days of lecture? A lot of jokes. So people would go with a different attitude. Some of them come only to listen to his English. There was one professor in Osmania University, it is said that he told his students of English literature, listen to Swami Chinmaya, who is in the town now, go and listen to him every day and pick out the vocabulary he uses, and none of you should repeat yourself. Go. So the students were in the first row only to listen to his lecture, to take out the vocabulary, English words. Then they come and then present to the professor. These are the words he used, and making sure that nobody repeats the other. And then see how he uses the words. Being a literature, he was himself, he's a journalist, so he was pretty versatile with his language. So each one will go for a purpose for which only that they pick up. And the scriptures are written not for a particular person, right? If it is only for a particular person, then it would have died with that particular situation itself. If you look at Gita, then he will go tell Arjun, hey, do this, but he will not stop there, and then he will suddenly move. Was about a sannyasin, about a tyagi, about a bhakta, about a karmi, about a yogi. He will just move. His, what do you call? His focus will be on all this. Suddenly, he will say, "There is nobody like my yogi. Sasmat yogi bhava Arjuna." Bhakta pranashyati. Yani to atmaiva me matam. What are you trying to say? Yogi is good, or bhakta is good, or jnani is good. Shraddhavan lavate. Suddenly, you will wonder, what is necessary? See, therefore, bhakti is there, karma is there, jnanam is there, yoga is there, everything is there in the Gita itself. But what you would like to follow, you pick up that thread and move ahead. Therefore, when you are churning in your mind, take the essence. Another interesting thing is, once the butter is removed from the milk and put it inside the water, what will happen? It will not put the milk into the water, it will immediately go. But when you put the butter into that, then what happens? It will float. Why? Dehydrated. Less dense. In the same way, a jnani who has gained the correct knowledge, he comes back to the world, he will float. He will not get sunk, or he will not be pulled down by the world. Gurudev said, be in the world, not of the world. You do not get caught up. You will not be sunk by the world. You will not be drowning inside the world. You will float. Just like the butter that has been removed from the milk, thereafter will not be submerged into the water or the milk. Submerging the butter is not possible. In the same way, gritamiva, nigudam, just like that butter hidden. You cannot see it. In the milk, you cannot see it. As you look at it, you cannot see it. Can you see the butter inside? Better don't see it. But you know it is there. In the same way, on the surface, when you look at it, every individual look so different from each other. But in all of them, there is, as earlier was said, it is there hidden. In all the scriptures, it is hidden, and in all beings, it is hidden. And that nigudam atmanam satatam vijnanam vasati. Vijnanam nigudam vasati bhute bhute. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha pretya asma lokat amrta bhavanti. Upanishad says that. Pratibodha viditam madam amrtatvam hi vindade atmana vindade viryam vidyaya vindade amrtam. Another example is being given in this, which is a very well-known example again, 21. Jnana netram samadaya uddharet vahnivat param nishkalam nischalam shantam tad brahmahamedi smrutam. Jnana netram samadaya uddharet bhaknivat param nishkalam nischalam shantam tad brahmahamidi smrutam. Jnana netram. Netra here should be understood as rope. Jnana netram samadaya. Taking the rope of knowledge. Vahnivat param uddharet. When they, in the past, when they were doing the Vedic rituals, they invoked the fire by rubbing one wood with another. For the sake, they put the lower arani and uttara arani, the cups made of wood, and the rod, which is also made of wood, they churn. Out of this churning, the fire would come out, uddharet. With that fire only, they do all the rituals. Meaning, the fire should be born out of the same wood into which is going to be offered into the fire. That fire is considered as the hidden one, which is considered as the Lord has brought out of from the hidden self. It's a symbolic. So what it is called? Huh? It looks like it's called. No, I am feeling. So Uddared Bahnivat Param. Let that fire that is hidden in the wood be brought out by constant churning, similar to that of the churning of the milk, which is from which the butter comes out. In the same way, fire comes out of the wood. Vahnivat param uddaret. And that very self, which is constantly present in each one of us, always present in each one of us, should be understood as like that of the fire hidden. Now, if you look at a tree, can you see the fire? You cannot see the fire by just looking at it. But when do you know that there is fire? Think. When do you know that a wood has got fire? When you bring it closer to the fire. No. When you bring closer to the fire, take a matchstick and in a dry wood, you go closer, pick up. Why? It's there. And thereafter, that fire that burns that wood is not the fire that you brought in. The what fire you brought in is only a starter. What makes it completely burn is the hidden fire. Please follow this idea very carefully. The Guru's work is to bring the spark to the wood. Spark of knowledge to the mind of the student. If the mind of the student is prepared very well, dried like dry wood like that of, Vairagya has intensified like that of the dry wood. If it is a wet wood, how much ever fire you put there, it will just sit watching you. But if it's a dry wood, the moment the spark, even little spark, you know the season started now. This fire season. One single spark of fire would be sufficient. What call acres and acres and acres, thousands of acres will dry. Will burn. Why? It is potentially there. In the same way, this teacher's role is to bring the spark of fire, and he will keep on attempting. And once that small spark of fire catches it, then the work of that fire is over. Then what will burn it? It will burn out of its own content. In the same way, the knowledge brought by the Guru will invoke the Vijnanam in you. It is that Vijnanam in you that will burn the ego. How much ever externally anybody would instruct, it will not work until you catch it. That's why it is said, wisdom is not taught, it is caught. But wisdom cannot be taught. Knowledge can be taught. Wisdom is caught. You must catch it from the teacher. And what is that? Tad aham brahma iti smrutam. To be thought of as aham brahma iti. What is that Brahman? Nishkalam, nischalam, shantam. Partless, unchanging, peaceful presence. Nishkalam. We've seen this before also. Kala rahitam. With no kala, no different, no parts. Nishkalam, partless, undivided. Nischalam, unchanging, in the midst of all changes, that which does not change. Nischalam Shantam Tad Brahma Aham iti Smritam. So that is why these two examples are given. Beautiful. One is removing the butter hidden in the milk by churning. The second one is doing the mathanam again. That is also considered as again churning only, but jnana netram, with the rope of knowledge, go on churning the mind. When the churning of the mind takes place, Bhakni, that fire that comes up, even Atmabodha had the similar verse also. That where the Atman is the Uttararani, Mana is the lower Arani, and Mananam is the method of churning it. Nishkalam Nischalam Shantam Tad Brahma Hamiti Smrutam. So this is why this text has begun with idea of mind alone is the Karanam Pandamokshayoho. If we do not use the mind for this churning, it will be churned by the world. That's called man mata. Man ka matan karta hai na. All the worldly things will do that. That's why it's called man mata. So when we do our own matanam, instead of allowing the world of objects to do the matanam, when we take up our own churning of the mind, then mokshasya karanam bhavati. Otherwise, bhogasya karanam eva bhavati mana. So mana eva manushyanam karanam bandhasya cha mokshasya cha. Bandhaya vishaya asaktam. Vishayehi matanam yak karoti. Saha baddha bhavati. Jnanena yaha matanam karoti. Sad muktaha bhavati. Saha muktaha. So one who who is free, one who uses the knowledge to move the mind or churn the mind. But on the other hand, one who allows the world to churn the mind, then such a person will become baddha. So now the last verse is beautiful here again. Verse number 22, the last one. Sarvabhutadhivasam yat bhuteshu cha vasatyapi sarvanugrahakatvena tadasmyaham vasudevaha. Tadasmyaham vasudeva iti. Sarvabhutadivasam yat bhuteshu cha vasatyapi sarvanugrahakatvena tadasmyaham vasudevaha. Tadasmyaham vasudeva iti. When it is repeated, that means the end of the Upanishad. The last part is repeated. Yat bhuteshu vasati api. Even though it remains in all, bhuteshu vasati. But interesting thing is, Sarva Bhutanam Adivasam. Sarva Bhuta Adivasam. Even though we say that self is present in all, actually all are present in that only. You are in space, or space is in you. Lot of space, Swamiji, in my head. Okay. But where are you? I am also in space. So which is, tell me only one thing. Like a lawyer in the court, Tell yes or no. You cannot say, yes, sometime, but no, sometimes. Did you kill or not? Let me think. What does it mean? Did you murder this person? You know, if he thinks, what happens? Tell me. If he's really not a killer, you say no. And nobody admits that, yes. It is said that, this was going on and on and on. They could not prove that this fellow murdered that guy. But next, somebody. So the last final day, this, the lawyer came, said, one who was not a defensive lawyer. What's the other guy? Prosecutor. Okay. I have a surprise element in this last session. Judge, if you allow me. Yes. So that fellow was standing on the thing, the murderer, so-called murderer, criminal. A very surprise element in this today's thing, a very complete turn of events. What? So all of them are facing the judge. And the lawyer said, the one who is said to have been murdered is alive, is coming. One person did not look at that side at all. The murderer. He's dead sure that he's dead. He's only buried him. He never. Everybody looked around. He's not. So he said, see, he knows very clearly he's dead. So he's the fellow. So where one cannot say, have you murdered? Let me think. Did I? So here also, you have to tell clearly, is it in you or outside? Sarvabhutadi vasam Vasudeva. Atava sarvabhuteshu vasati Vasudeva. Bhagavan very clearly says, Maya sadamidam sarvam. Mastani sarvabhuteir. Nachaham saishavastita. In me alone, everything. I am not in them. They are in me. Are they in you or you are in them? The interesting thing is, in and out has no meaning. Part has to come back again. Part. Inside there is space or outside there is space. Inside and outside are relevant only with respect to the part structure. With respect to the part alone, you say inside and outside. But space has no inside or outside. There's no relevance at all about it's like asking the sun, what about sun? Good night. What good night for? What is good night for a sun? Good morning. Is there any relevance to the sun about good morning or good night? Because where it is there, it cannot be night. In the same way, space has nothing called inside or outside. In the same way, Bhagavan or Vasudeva or the self here is not having any concept of inside and outside. When we look at it, Upadi Drishtya, from the standpoint of our body, etc., then we say, inside me, outside me. Eko Deva Sarvabhuteshu Guda. So, Sarvabhuta Adivasam Yat Sarvabhuteshu Vasatyapi. And therefore, one comes to realize Sarva Anugrahakatvena. By the very grace of the Lord, in all beings, by being the gracious to all. Meaning what? He, the one who is externally taking care of the whole universe as well as internally. Kshetrajna aham. Kshetram abhi aham. Who is the support of the very world? Him. Who is seeing the world? Him. You are taking care of your body or not? Who's constantly watching the body? You. You are watching your body constantly from within, as though. But who is taking care of it? The body, yourself only. Similarly, the world is perceived by the same one who is supporting it also. In the form of sun or the moon or the fire or the water or earth or space, as pure existence, the one who is supporting the entire universe is the same one who is the drishta of it also. Interesting. Who created your dream? Me. Who is watching the dream? Me. I create and sustain my dream. And who is watching it? Who is a participant in that? It's me. Who else? Similarly, sarva anugrahakatvena. Anugraha is grace. Sarvanugrahakatvena. By the grace of him alone, everything is both outside being sustained and within me as antaryami, he is the one who is experiencing it as well. Tadasmi aham Vasudeva. That Vasudeva aham. That's why Bhagavan Krishna, what did he say? Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapatyade Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha in 7th chapter. Sudurlabha samahatma. Who? Vasudeva sarvamiti yajanadi. One who knows that Vasudeva alone is everything. Here Vasudeva does not mean Vasudeva Putra. Sarvadevanam Vasa. All the beings, all gods, where they reside, he is Vasudeva. Devas here means, technically, if you look at Vedantic perception, all the Devas are none other than our senses. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, etc. are all individual deities, is it not? Well, who is a deity who has independent power? Who can execute his power? Is it not our all senses? Pancha jnanendriyani, pancha karmendriyani, manaha buddhi, ahankara, chittam, ityadi, antakaranani api. The 14 of them, 14 worlds, so to say, they all are independent powers. What eyes can do, ears cannot do. What ears can do, nose cannot do. What Varuna can do, Vayu cannot do. What Vayu can do, fire cannot do it. Isn't it? So independently they have powers. Similarly, independently we have the faculties. One cannot be replaced by another. But where do they derive their power from? From that very self, the consciousness only. So he alone is working through all the 14 of them. In the same way, where are they residing now? They reside in that consciousness. In the same way, Sarva Bhutanam Vasaha, Sarva Devanam Vasaha, Vasudevaha. That's why he's called Govinda. Go Indriyani. Vindate, Vindante, Vindanti. They all of them are in search of him. That one, or go also Vedas. By the Vedas, one can be known. So Govinda. By the senses are constantly in search of him. That is where Govinda. And Gopala. Indriyanam palanam karoti. They are Gopala. So in different ways, if you look at it, the Vasudeva is one in whom everything resides, and in who each one of them he resides. Yat chakshusha na pashyati, yat chakshumshi pashyati. Because of which eyes can see, but which cannot be seen by the eyes. So tad Vasudevaha, tad asmi aham. Tadasmi aham Vasudeva iti. So that realization is called moksha. Earlier what he said? Bandhasya mokshasya karanam manaha When the mind has been brought to this kind of a maturity, understanding, then we realize that in and out there is only one. When the unity is perceived, then there cannot be any bondage. Bondage is only when there is division, when there is otherness. Dvaitat bhavati bandhanam. Because of the duality, bondage is created. मैं वो नहीं है, बस bondage started. Dvitiyat bhavati bayah, bayam bhavati. Bayam dvitiyat bhavati. When there is otherness, there is fear, there is insecurity, there is lack of freedom. When there is no more the duality, outside also Vasudeva, asmi aham Vasudeva. That's why he said this, Sarva Vasudeva Sarvamidi Samahatma Sudurlava. So that is reiterated in this very statement here. This way, this beautiful Upanishad had brought lot of contemplative points to us. And that is the reason why, even though it is considered as a minor Upanishad, there is actually the content is not very minor. It is really profound. So we'll read the first verse again. Mano hi dvividam proktam shuddham cha shuddhameva cha. Okay, here it is not. Ashuddham kama sankalpam shuddham kama vivarjitam. It is, mind is of two types, pure and impure. Impure one is filled with desire, and pure one is without the touch of desire. Kama vivarjitam. We can understand that, then alone aham Vasudevaha. Vasudeva Sarvamidi Janati Saha. So that realization alone can bring the complete freedom. So this way, this beautiful Upanishad had given a lot of insights. And during the summer, or during the time when you have, you just go through that with the commentary again and again, and we'll see how it can enhance your understanding better of other Upanishads also. Some of the ideas are given in this from other Upanishads as well, and those will be better understood with simple words presented in this. Amritabindu, nectar, a drop of nectar. Swamiji, I studied, I am going to drop it now. You just know, he said, Grantam apyasya medhavi jnana vijnana tatpara palalami vadanyarti tajed grantam aseshata. Chalo, aseshata tajami. I have studied and done. So as I said, you can give up only when you understood the essence and you can recall it. If you can't recall that, what did you study? Swamiji, did we study Amrita? What? Then what will you do? Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkhamat bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. We will